Hey there, miners. It's Lawrence Cohen. This is going to be the first part of a multi-part series on how to get into cryptocurrency mining. So we're going to start out with the most fundamental part of any mining rig, and that's going to be a graphics card. Now, you're probably going to be scouring the market for graphics cards, and you're probably wondering which ones to start with. And I'm going to kind of share a little bit of my experience. I got into cryptocurrency mining in the last bull run, so I'm going to kind of address some of the stuff that you're wondering and some of the issues that I had when I got into cryptocurrency. So right now you're probably looking at some really high-end cards like 3080s and stuff like that. And what you're going to find out is there's none available, or the ones that are available are not listed at MSRP. So, and okay, what's that mean? That means the return on investment is going to be quite long. Now, most of these bull runs don't last more than a year. So if you listen to some of the gurus in crypto, a good example, BitBoy Crypto, a fantastic resource for information. Most people like him and others project that this bull run is going to probably fizzle out late August, early September. So we're looking at 9 months for ROI-ish. So if you had a 3080 and you were paying $1,500 for it, it's probably not going to ROI relatively soon. So the card I would actually suggest, and I'm going to speak from experience, I have never, first of all, full disclosure, I've never had an NVIDIA card. So my expertise is going to be with AMD, and that's what I'm going to share. I'm not going to talk about cards I've never used. I think that'd be a little foolish. So I'm going to talk about AMD, and right now you're probably, if you're in the market, you should probably be looking at an RX 580 and make sure you've got 8 gigabytes of RAM, 8 gigabytes of memory. That will allow you to mine Ethereum. And you're looking at cards, you're probably also looking at this site, what to mine. So you're going to go over here, and you're going to probably, and you're looking at all these different cards and how much they made per day. So if you had a RX 580, and where I live, I'm paying 6 cents, actually 6.2 cents kilowatt hour. If you're paying more, the calculation is going to be a little bit different for yourself. So I'm going to click calculate, and it's going to tell me what I make. And this is the gross, and the bottom number is the net after you pay for your electricity. So I'm making $1.43 a day. So if I were to look at Newegg, well, let's look at this gigabyte here. And I just picked up 2 of these actually. Brand new. It's $2.89. That's a pretty good price. Especially if you cruise on over here, you look at eBay. And I clicked on the sold option down here so that I can look at everything that has sold. I can get a pretty good idea of what the going rate is. And yeah, so most 580s, 8 gig, 200, 225, 258, 227. That one's quite old, actually. Oof, that's oldie but a goodie. So you're looking at 225, 235-ish. But you can get a brand new one for $289, and it comes with some limited warranty. So, and with those cards, you don't really know how old they are, even if they say, oh, still in the box, just got it last month. I wouldn't quite put a lot of credence into those claims. Although it is worth mentioning, I've had mining cards that are probably 3 years old, and when I bought them, they were used, and they're still going strong. So if you take care of them, keep them clean, you watch your temperatures, you should be okay. So we're looking at a 580, $289, and according to our what to mine, we're going to make $1.43. So if we went $289, this is in U.S. currency, by the way, divided by 1.43, this thing's going to ROI 202 days. So that's pretty good. Pretty good. Now, if you looked at something else, let's say you said, well, I'm going to go to the used market, but I can get myself a deal. Okay, cool. So let's kind of cruise up here, and let's take off our 580. I've had extensive experience with 470s. Great deals. Let's look at those. What's what to mine got to say? We're going to make 90 cents. Now, that's less than $1.43, but for one thing, I don't think they make 470s brand new anymore, so you're going to have to buy them new. But you can pick these things up for like a buck, 129 bucks. So if so we get 202 days for the 580, and it was $129 divided by 0.9. Let's look at that. So 143 days, and it's paid for the card. So it's definitely something to look at, because also these numbers, they fluctuate. They go up, they could go down. So this calculation is based on this moment's number. So, but yeah, just something to look at. Now, if you're just going to experiment, and you're even saying, okay, even those cards, it's a little too much to look at. Now, much like you, when I got into cryptocurrency mining, the great cards were nowhere to be had, and they were just outrageously priced. I think 580s back in 2018 were going for, I don't know, $900 or something crazy. So when I first got into cryptocurrency, I actually opted for a 560. And right now, if that's something you want to look at, now these are only 4 gig cards. So if you go to what to mine, basically a 560 is half of a 470. So you can't really, you can till January, February, and it's at a limited hash rate. Hash rate is the measurement of how well your card's doing. But you're probably going to be looking at Ravencoin. So if you're like, okay, I'll mine Ravencoin, I'm not going to worry about Ethereum. Plus, a lot of people say that Ethereum is going to be, not some people. It is going to switch to proof of stake, but some people say it's going to be a year. Some people say it's going to be 2 years. So it's hard to say. But eventually, it is going to be a coin that's not going to be mineable, and this will be basically deleted off the what to mine. Now, that's not to say other coins won't take its place, but there's no guarantee that other coins will be quite as profitable. So if we were going to look at Ravencoin and consider our little 560, which is a wonderful card, by the way. I've got a ton of MSI 560 still. I think I made the mistake of getting emotionally attached to cryptocurrency items, so I haven't let my 560s go. So if we're making 42 cents a day, and eBay tells me that these things are going for 55, 56 bucks. Okay, so let's see. So if it's going for 55, so that 43 or 42 cents, that's a full 470. So if you cut that in half, that's 21 cents. Because a 560 is basically half of a 470. So, okay, so let's just look at our calculator. And we'll go 55 divided by 0.21 cents. 261 days. Okay, not a bad ROI. If you're comfortable mining coins with a 4 gig card. So now there are some advantages to that. Like, for example, this card it doesn't have any power inputs on the card. It runs right off the riser. So that's for some people that's advantageous, and also you're going to be investing in a smaller power supply. Although power supplies is something I'm going to get into in a later episode. And there's definitely a way that you can economize that aspect of your rig. So I'll touch on that later for sure. So those are some of the cards to look at. And I personally would be looking at the 580s for sure. Now, I haven't noticed this yet with these bigger cards, these 580s, yet. But as the card shortage kind of evolves, I think you're going to see what I saw in 2018. What I saw was, if you go down here, stream processors. Now, a 580's got about 2304 stream processors. But I saw in 2018, especially with the 560s, for example, if I went up here and I went MSI RX 560, and they don't sell these brand new anymore, I don't believe. Yeah, so you're not going to see it anymore. But when I looked for the MSI RX 560s, and I saw the stream processors, which is essentially half of the 470 number. Now, some companies came into the market later on, like ASRock, and they were offering up 560s. But if you looked at the processors, it was like 8 something. So you're never going to get the hash rate that the actual 560s were putting out. Now, I will not be surprised if I see them do the same thing with your 580s. So when you're buying your cards, check on that, okay? So that's more or less my take on the graphic card situation and what to look at, how to look at it, and kind of make, I mean, you can go with other cards, but I'm kind of talking about my experience, and these things are bulletproof. Now, I would say this. When you're buying a rig, or making a rig, and you're buying your parts, try to buy all the same. Now, I've got rigs still that have different cards in them, but I try to keep a consistent brand. Now, the reason being is things like fans do break. So fans break, and stuff like that. And if you're going to have all these different cards, you're going to have to buy different fans. And I always have at least one or two spare fans available. So I like to keep my models down to, let's say, 2 different models. If you're into a whole whack load of different ones, it gets a little bit difficult with the spare parts situation. So, and also things like overclocking, which I'll get into in another episode, stuff like that. You can be all over the map. So, but yeah, that is my take